Welcome back, guys, to the Beyond Condition podcast, the voice of bodybuilding. I'm your host, Sarah Parker, and today's voice is the one, the only Dan Bombastic.
A bit of an intro, isn't it? Where'd that come from? Stop it.
Yeah.
Ignition.
Well, also, I've got to do this live. So, Dan, oh my God, you've humbled me. Look at what arrived, my people, if you're watching on YouTube. Dan got me my own tea, oversized tea. So, a bit of context for the listeners. We actually stayed at yours for New Year's Eve, and you had a bit of an overhaul into the things that don't necessarily fit you as well as they used to because you are Musif. And I was like, I'll have them all. So, I've got
It
one
was
on.
either, it was either that or it was going like, I don't know, or it was going to be dispersed and you were there. So it's like, take your pick. I will have it all.
Now.
It's all good.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah.
as well, right? Like we were saying, if you gave it to a charity shop, like they wouldn't really know the bodybuilding brand, so it'd be like, oh my, it'd be devastating for us.
Yeah. Was the you spoke to La Familia, they were all right, weren't they?
Yeah, I wanted to. I said to them I'd sort of speak about them on a podcast, so we might as well do a little bit of a talk here in regards to them as a clothing brand. I hadn't really heard of them before, and when I tried the teas on, I was like, I want to live in these because for females as well, there is this. I feel like a lot of the brands, you get your male stuff, and it's like as a female, just go for oversized male stuff. But I feel like it fits really well compared to some of the oversized male stuff. It literally just it feels like a massive heavy tent, whereas this just feels really nice and light, really nice to train in. And I when I spoke to the guy, he was really sound as well. I don't know your experience.
Yeah, no, I've known him for a long while, to be honest. As I say, like me and Mana, we live in the clothing, so we go back and forth quite a lot. But yeah, literally that, like the materials are bloody lovely to just live in or train in. The company as a whole, like, yeah, they've got the website, which has loads of stuff on it. But as I said to you, is scroll the Instagram page, go down and any product in there, just DM it to him. Have you got this in stock? Because there's loads of stuff on their timeline that is not actually on the site.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So you can just pick and have a look because that's important as well. And I feel like as well when I looked on their Instagram, actually, of course, different Instagrams have different profiles of athletes, etc. And I also thought for sure, like it looks like, whoa, there's loads of professional bodybuilders, there's loads of elite bodybuilders on this page. And for the listeners, sometimes I had this moment of like that could actually make you think, can I wear this brand, etc. But go for it, guys. Like if you see a brand and you want to try it out like this brand, I'd say go for it because, sometimes you can get a bit like, oh, I don't know.
Was that like Monster Factory at first, where people were a little bit shy, then one person went and everyone went. I don't think La Familia will get like that though. They're kind of a little bit, it's a little bit more pricey because the quality is going to be better. They're a little bit more cultish, I would say, in
Yeah,
comparison. Do you, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, really cool brand though. Based out in Dubai, but he knows everyone over in the UK. So yeah, go on the Instagram page. Say I sent you. He'll look after you.
Yeah, for sure. Tell him Mr. Bastick sent you. And I just want to give a shout out as well to Engineered because of course, you and Mana are sponsored by them and meeting them when we went to Matt's supplement store opening. I was like, these two people, Riz, and it's like they were just so fucking cool. And obviously when you meet the people behind the brand, as it were, it's like, oh, they're real humans and they're just really down to earth. And obviously you've got the little meetup this weekend, haven't you?
It's been cancelled. Weather.
Oh shit, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, people. Yeah, I get it though. It's like there's going to be people who are going to struggle depending where you're coming from in the country.
Yeah.
So it's what it is. So for people's information, with engineered. Basically, me Riz go back a long time. I didn't dislike him, but I didn't like him. I thought, who's this scrawny little kid? And years later, we got really close, and me and Romano were first athletes engineered. I help Riz with a lot of the formulation, but in all honesty, he is the whiz. He just runs things through me. The only supplement I can genuinely put my name on as a totality was Glycotank, which has gone quite big now. But we're on to season 3, and like the stuff that is coming out, nobody I know within the supplement industry is doing it.
Love it.
So it's pretty fucking cool. A lot of stuff is in testing right now because we test stuff for a long time to get it right before we release. And there's a lot of products that are being redone because we're not even happy with those.
Nice.
We are at first, but then eventually we get to the point where it could be more. We always, you'll know, with a lot of our products, we have a V2. We're working on more V2s as we go.
Love it. Love it.
So,
I'm
no,
thinking of switching to their L-cart,
what?
L-carnitine
Yeah,
injectable. Yeah, yeah.
what the this one, the 500 megamil.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your dosing with that?
This is Quanta, who I've been using for ages. So 500 meg per mil.
Yeah, this one here is 500 meg per mil. We do have a higher meg per mil coming.
Mhm.
Well, it's already out actually. But what's the pip like with the Quanta?
Well, this is the thing. Obviously, we were talking about rotation sites as well when we came up to yours, and it is quite pippy. And in the when I used to do glutes, it would just be I'd get like little lumps, and it would just be.
I haven't
Whereas
I
in
haven't had that with the engineered at all.
yeah, and sometimes it's like it really pinches.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
We've reworked this so many times now. So yeah, you won't get any pip with the engineered L-carnitine. Sometimes it might help though, just to get like a little, some kind of little Tupperware, just put it in some warm water for a little bit.
okay.
Um, Even like so you're not wasting your Quanta
Mm,
L-carnitine, just to
mm.
make it go a little bit smoother, then draw it out.
Yeah, yeah, because sometimes it's a bit cloggy.
Yeah, just lessen the viscosity a little bit.
Yeah, love it, love it. So, guys, head over to, of course, Engineered, or if you want some clothing, of course, we've given some recommendations there, and I've got the triple XL on as well, Dan. So today, this is part of the Extreme series. We've actually spoken about some of the things we could cover. Now, obviously, there's plenty of things we could cover. We even had the in talks, when we were together, and it's like there's so much to explore with yourself, and I appreciate, this being a trusted space for yourself and wanting to come on because we've said, we'll cover some of the topics today that we've spoken about, and then do episodes to come, and I will put some question boxes on Instagram as well. But I feel like one of the topics we could absolutely start with, because it's not something that I've included so far on the series as a specific topic, is, and this is again an open can of worms, training, age and experience, adaptability and execution with the inclusion of thinking about top tier kit, what kit you actually use. Now, we spoke about this a lot in person, even training age. I think that sometimes it can be overlooked and not really understood, right? You can get into bodybuilding and lift heavy shit. And then over the years, you start to go, okay, maybe I understand this more in regards to my own training age. How long have I been in the game and what does that bring? Now, as I said, it's an open can of worms, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're only as old as you feel, and I think the same applies to training. Are you beat up? And this was something I was brought up basically by John Meadows for a lot of,
You.
not directly, but I used to follow him religiously, and your friend Dr. Scott.
I love
But
this.
John Meadows in particular, what he taught us bodybuilders, I believe, changed the industry. I think he was one of the game changers within bodybuilding. Like if there is something beating around now or popular, I bet Mountain Dog was somewhat the root of it in the first place. Something he taught us was, or something he provided us with, were tools. So all the tools in your bag to be able to adapt to a current scenario or situation. So if shit does hit the fan and something's feeling off, you know how to adapt. If you are trying to put together an effective workout, you could do that just via knowing how John put his sessions together. Like within one session, it wasn't just right, set one, set two, move on, set one, set two, move on. There was focuses like whether you are exercise one was going to be drawing blood into the muscle directly, and then it might be your heavier compound movement, might be another movement off that, and then finishing the session with maybe some metabolic work or some lengthened work where the shortened phase of the muscle is fatigued. Now we work within the lengthened. And I mean, what do we see that so common today is, say, if we're training chest, what is the most common movement for pre-activation is going to be a pec fly driving the humerus across the body, right? It's going to be the easiest thing to switch on your chest, draw blood into the muscle. Then we get into our presses. So and that's just taken for granted. That all came from John Meadows.
Yeah.
Like
It's all that history. I love this.
literally. But the long and short of it is I say this because I'm big on younger people understanding a lot about training, but in some mindsets, they learn things that are just not, they learn things and apply things, I should say, that are just not viable for where they are right now.
That's why I want to talk about
They're
it.
not, and I'm not saying you should be fucked before you start applying this stuff. You should be reading the signs of how your body feels. And over your training age, you start to get a feel of your body. Like, I don't know about you, but since you first started training, you look back, you didn't really know how you felt. And
Yes.
over the years, you create almost this proprioception for your body and just knowing and with this comes increased mind muscle connection and just an internal feel of what is truly actually fucked. So, what I do see with learn all you can from an early age, but understand that all these tools are not needed right now. It's more so knowing when to add them in. And I'm saying learn it because if shit does hit the fan and your knees are fucked, then you could find a way around it, right? It's helpful. But I think the issue is with especially being January, what is the first thing we've seen in January for years in a row now is this is a year we stop overcomplicating training, which I am a big believer in. I'm saying learn this stuff, but know how to apply it.
Yeah.
Something like reverse banding a hack squat or banding a sounds silly, but I've seen it like a hammer strength press because the strength curve is already quite strong on that. It might not be for you. Maybe you should just focus on actually how is your movement, how is your ability to activate muscles and actually just overloading, you know?
Yeah.
Um, I think it's like, not what's the saying? Knowledge is knowing tomato is not a fruit. No, no, knowledge is knowing tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is knowing it doesn't belong in a fruit salad.
I love
Literally
that.
that. Like learn all you can, but understand where it applies.
Yeah, and
This is something with training age is you need to be so focused on what is actually working and not skip a beat or skip a step on that ladder before moving on to the next thing because each one is a tool in your long-term progress. Because I see so many guys, they're moving on to such advanced practices that are just so beyond their years when it's like go back to that hack squat and actually learn how to, you know, get proper depth, how to not let tension off in the hole, how to create constant rep tempos as you go. But they're reverse banding, they're incorporating all this stuff that's just nail the straight set,
yeah, yeah,
master the basics, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
But within training age, you learn all this stuff, it can take you a lot further. Um, I'm definitely there in some aspects. It depends on the body part for sure. But it's knowing when to pick those up to continue progressing onwards.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like a really good example where you spoke about, learning your body and it's such a, I almost feel like it's a bit spiritual, Dan, sometimes when you really like you're so receptive to learning your body. And so funny you mentioned that because we went for a coffee at Starbucks this morning and we were just sitting there looking forward and Matt went, "What are you thinking about?" And I was like, "Do you know what? I'm just feeling my body because last night I had a restless sleep because of yesterday's training session. Now, I would have never tied in a restless sleep could be to do with a heavy, hard session. I now know what that is. I know what it feels like. I wake up and then I was just literally in this like spiritual moment, having a coffee, thinking, I can feel this. What do I need to do for my session today to make it effective but not fuck myself up? And then got to the gym and the reception guy said to me, "You all right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he went, "That's not a normal Sarah, yeah. Are you okay?" And I was like, "I am fine, but I'm in my head about this session." And he was like, "You sure that's it?" And I was like, "Absolutely. I just need to be in my own mind for this session." And he was like, "Oh, okay." But I had this moment of like, yeah, that is what we have to do, Dan. You know, we do need to go inside. And I just don't know how many people would sort of feel that spiritual level, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's something that really knowing your body and knowing what is sensible for your body is two different things. As I say, knowing it because it's actually through learned experience. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that will talk about fatigue but have never experienced true red line fatigue in their life. I actually did a story about it the other day. A lot of talk is on holding people back, but we have extremes of both sides where you have the Forrest Gump that just goes, but also doesn't know what he's doing damage wise, and why every 3 weeks he's absolutely mashed. But then you have on the extreme side, people just don't push it far enough. And it's on that extreme side that are giving that fatigue management a bad name.
Absolutely.
Fatigue management for me is how did you manage your session when you went in the gym after? What did you do the day before?
So I did. It was two training sessions in the back. So my training week starts on a Wednesday. So Wednesday is my hardest session. So it's posterior. There's like four compound back movements, and then there's some hamstrings, a bit of glutes.
A lot
And
of
that's
failure work.
a,
A lot of failure work.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's very hard, very hard. And then yesterday was push. So as you know, I do a bit of a random split because of my knee rehab incorporated, but essentially quads and being able to do delts, bit of biceps. I don't really train chests because of being bikini, so it's not necessarily, and I am enhanced in the chest, so I don't train it as much. But those back-to-back sessions are hard, but I had this opportunity this week where Wednesday and Thursday I had a bit longer on the time frame, and I just again, this comes with the training age. And I was just having these, really intentful, cathartic sessions. I spent a little bit longer there and I did PB on some movements that are very, very taxing for me. Consequently, today.
Give me some examples of rep ranges.
So, well, there's a lot of different rep ranges. So, one of the movements that it's really hard. So, with building my delts and building my back, I do a lot of single arm work. So,
Mhm.
I'll still do that on like a compound move. So, we've got a pull down with like you sort of put your hand over on the handle and you
Sounds like a Nautilus.
yeah, so that one always fucks me up. I'm so focused on the lat activation and the full range, and I managed to put a biscuit on every set. So I do three sets. The first set was 13 reps, and then it was 10, and then it was 8. And I stuck to my rep ranges, but I put a biscuit on every level, as it were, for the different rep ranges. And
Yeah.
it's obviously both
Keep,
sides.
keep going through the session. I know what I'm trying to dig for.
Okay, so there's that one. Then there is a row with D handles. So both hands on that one.
Prime, it sounds like a prime horizontal row.
And that's for three straight sets. So I normally hit between 12 to 13 reps on that one. That taxes me a lot as well because I really go for, again, the full range and lats is a big focus for me. Then there is cable pullover. Again,
Mm.
that's slightly higher reps as well. And what else is there? Trying to think of the top. I've got it on my notes actually. Um, this is,
Any big compounds.
and then there is a. Oh, okay. So this is the one that fucks me up as well. So do you know the hammer strength row where most people do it double arm, but I do it single arm. There's a pad and the seat moves a lot, but it's plate loaded, and I do single arm. It's really fucking hard.
Okay, so what I'm gathering from this, it's not actually what I expected. I expected some multi-joint movements and lower rep ranges absolutely taxing your central nervous system. Not to say you can't tax your central nervous system from what you were doing, but I'm guessing that the volume was slightly higher for the session, potentially.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. And then you've gone on to the next day onto your push day, and I'm guessing as well the volume was slightly higher as well.
yeah,
Okay, so then you've gone into the session off that, feeling off the back of these two sessions. Likely the interrupted sleep came after the second session on the balance, not the
yeah,
first.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what you've done there is you've just compounded two higher volume sessions and you've kind of just put yourself in a bit of a hole
Mm, mm,
you couldn't recover out of.
yeah,
Actually, literally, what something John Meadows used to say is, "Don't put yourself in a trench so deep you can't climb out of it." So, and then you haven't slept properly on the second night, so no wonder the next day you're feeling it from head to toe.
yeah, yeah,
So,
literally.
what did you do with your session that day?
So today, so today I was like, because I can either train either 3 days in a row or do the 2 days, have a day off, and then because I do 5 sessions. But it just worked out that it's good for me to do the three in a row. So I was, first of all, I was contemplating, do I do the session today or do I wait till tomorrow to do it?
Option one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was where I was like, and then it was like, again, this is part of it. It hasn't snowed as much as it was meant to here, and it might tonight. So that was a bit of a caveat, which is like, can I train tomorrow if I can't get there, etc. But that's sort of, to the scenario.
Counts. It still counts as a consideration of, right, so I'm going to be forced into the session here due to schedule.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm doing the session, how do I go about it?
Yeah, so this is where, so I pulled down my steps this morning. Normally I do a longer walk. Obviously, I am anyway because of my ankle. But I pulled down my steps to I only did 3K this morning and I actually trained later than I normally would. So I could have a couple of coffees, have a couple of meals, and just took my time this morning. I made sure I did some extra admin work because I'm a bit of a busy bee around the house. And I just really, this is not like me, Dan. You know, I'm quite sort of hyperactive. I was like, if I'm gonna do this session, I cannot fuck around here just doing a load of shit around the house and stuff that's utilizing energy, right? Like, and I just had this like word with myself. I was like, look, behave. Because if you want to do this session, you need to make sure that you prime yourself for the session. And I also allowed a bit of extra time for the session, so I didn't have to because you know what it's like sometimes it's like I've got 1 hour or whatever and it can feel a bit intense, so I was like I'm gonna actually allow an extra bit of time, got Matt to drive me there rather than walk there, so I just did all these little things and
Good.
the session was hard. However, it was successful. I didn't get any PBs, but it felt good and I managed to maintain the load and the reps from last time I did this session. So
Yeah, so it's a session that you can cross off that I would have been surprised if you came away with PBs from that session. It doesn't make it any less progressive though
mm,
in any way. Your actual muscular progress, believe it or not, contrary to how the UK have been indoctrined, you can stay at the same strength from one lift to the next year, and you can have grown. I'm a lot bigger now than I was when I deadlifted 402 kilos.
love that example.
Believe me, you can. But what you've done there is this is again, this comes with training age and recognizing your own signs. And recognizing your own signs comes with training age. Is you've double checked, it's like, right, I've got to do this session in case it snows and it fucks up the next day, so I can't train. So this session is happening whether I like it or not. So you've prepared yourself in a much more efficient, I'd say, like a professional athlete would, compared to Sarah, who literally does everything every minute, like bang, 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 bang. You've actually given yourself a little bit of grace to sit the fuck down and let the session come to you rather than you sprint into the session. Um, Now, from that day onwards, was that today the session?
Today, yep.
What are you doing tomorrow?
So now tomorrow is a full rest day, and I actually started to think about this. How does that look? And ordinarily, I normally do my morning walk, but it's going to be a shorter one. And again, this is something that's been coming more so in the last maybe even 6 months, but it's at its prime where I'm just like, I want to grow. I'm not fucking around here, and this is so important to me that I'm not going to go and spank a load of steps and just do it for the sake of it. So I'm going to break up shorter walks throughout the day. I've planned out what admin I need to do, and I'm going to have a full rest day and not be a dickhead. Then I go back Sunday.
Literally, exactly what I would have said is instead of going for big, long duration walks, break them up after meals, digestion walks.
Yes.
And something you I know you're going to be afraid to do, but I'd suggest you do it is bump your baseline food tomorrow.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's early in a training block, and I do feel, and it's hard for me to say it and own it because we're owning this right now. But I almost feel that little bit of sign of overreach, and I'm only 3 weeks into the block, but I'm like, oh, I can
It
feel.
sounds. When was the last time you made a little food bump to your baseline calories?
Other than having off plan, sprinkled in, I don't have like an off plan day, as it were. But other than that, I haven't bumped. We obviously had the holiday, but that was within calories. I haven't bumped them for probably to my baseline foods about 8 weeks.
Yeah. So to me, given you're constantly introducing your body to new stimulus, you got to feed it.
Yeah.
And it's no longer happy with the amount you have been feeding it for 8 weeks. So a little bump, like what are your baseline macros right now?
So I do float a little bit between carbs and fat, to just be a little bit more. It's challenging my own narrative. It's a bit of an exploration for myself. I have a very nice amount of protein, so I'm always 210 to 215 protein. You'll be pleased to know. And then I do, like we spoke about, I do preference having higher fats now, which was also quite scary for me at first because of being a bikini girl for so long and what have you. But I always have a minimum of 55 fats. But sometimes I'll float up to like 85 fat, which I'm not.
And so basically, there's a caloric target, and you fluctuate between carbs and fats to hit it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, I'd be I'd be going to myself is right. What is my happy range of fat that I like that I seem to respond really well to? Say if it's 75, 80,
Hmm.
something like that. Like you feel good, you feel energized. From there is right, I'd keep that as staple. I'm just going to bump the carbohydrates up a bit. Like, what am I doing on my training days? I'm talking about on your training days. What am I doing on my training days? You're doing anaerobic activity that demands glucose for fuel.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd provide a little bit more on a training day, and I do understand the notion for insulin sensitivity on a rest day and having lower carbohydrates. I'm all for that, but if you're in an intense training block, don't be afraid to bump your carbohydrates on a non-training day as well for that recovery day.
Yeah, because I mean, I do lend myself. If I was to choose as being a creature of habit, I would generally speaking have, that across a training week. So I have ebbed and flowed with like rest days at macros and when I've been coached, but I absolutely like having the food there on a rest day as well. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that feeling. I also toyed around with, and because you've sort of beat me to it. I'd started to think about with even from Wednesday's session being so brutal of having intra, and that was my first sort of do I put some intra carbs in?
Who introduced intra-workout carbs to bodybuilding?
Is it John Meadows?
Yeah, it was.
What is it?
Yeah, and so I'm telling people they've forgotten about Mountain Dog. Everything we do now that is just taken for granted was Mountain Dog.
I love you mentioned Dr. Scott as well because he's going to come on the pod for this series and he said, you know, he can talk about training all day long as you know, and we've done progressive overload and things like that as topics. But he was like, what I think would be cool is if you have multiple conversations with guests and then we float what the guest said about training or whatever it is. But he was, when we did the progressive overload, you'll find this interesting. He was just like, and the thing is with the dog crack training and the thing fortitude training, the things that he speaks about, the grasping of what he's actually, because he's like dog crap training, like you're passing out, right? Like this is brutal. But he's noticed the
If
trend
you can
of,
go there.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
can.
exactly, exactly. This is what he said. People are like, oh, I do dog crap training. And he's like, no, you don't. And he's not being a dickhead about it, Scott. But he's like, no, this is not the dog crap training is like you are brutalizing yourself.
Scott is somebody I've looked up to for years. He was a very good friend of John Meadows. Scott, so they're very much hand in hand, similar kind of mindsets. And I'm sure Scott would agree, is there's more to crap training than simply being able to do that rep. That if there was a gun to your head, you do it. You
Yeah.
know, it comes all down to, can you actually maximize a set for the amount of tension you're able to apply? Because you could have a first timer who is just an absolute Forrest Gump who can go until they can't move. It doesn't necessarily mean they've been able to maximize the set.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a difference.
Yeah, this is where training age comes into it. I don't think dog crap training is suitable to beginner lifters
No, no.
at all. The volume's too low. Their ability to accrue muscle tissue fibers, motor neuron units, everything else is just not there at that age. Because believe me, I've tried it too young.
Of
And
course you have.
and what did I experience? That yeah, every night I could not sleep after a training session because my central nervous system was absolutely burnt, but I wasn't growing all that much yet. To a point, you've got newbie gains where whatever you do, as long as you push hard, you grow. But I don't think I would have grown as efficiently if I was on slightly higher volume, even with the same intensity. But intensity being actually being able to use the muscle intended, not everything around it.
Well, yeah. As well, I love that we're talking about sleep because I've had this in my mind for a while. I wonder how many people listening, and obviously if you are listening, this is thought provoking. Again, everything we speak about, guys, if anything triggers you and you think, oh, and you feel a certain way about things we're talking about, that's good because this is an opportunity to grow. And when I say this and I preface it like that, when we talk about sleep, as I did for many, many years, I didn't understand that that could be a sign of overreach as a bodybuilder. I just thought I've had a shit night's sleep. So it's really cool we're deep diving on it because actually, again, learning your body, I know hands down, in the night and I woke up, that's training related. But you can't almost, until you experience that and understand it, it's very hard to take that on board, right? Because you just be like, oh, I had a shit night's sleep, especially if it's prep.
This is where you need to be have the ability, I should say, to be very objective. And this is another thing as well, that the more you know can actually send you into a bit of a fluster. Because let's say if I've done a very hard session, I've hit PBs, I've hit PB hinge, which is going to be a very heavy weight, I might go into that evening already knowing, like, oh, I've done this. This means I'm not going to sleep, and I've placeboed myself into that effect, right?
I'm glad we're talking this. I love this.
This is what I'm saying is like when we're saying training age, a lot of training age, the essential item of it is the progression of knowing your body, not just knowing the information and knowing when to apply it.
Because I was an overthinker, Dan. I would read, I would check data.
Diagnosed yourself with cancer like 4 times.
Yeah, and you tell yours this is I had to pull away from sleep tracking because I would look at the app and I'd go, oh my God, I feel like shit.
Yeah, because your sleep was low on. Yeah.
And I'd have a shit day. Everyone would fucking be a wanker, and I'd be like, I've had a shit. But before looking at the data, I was fine. So it's so good that you've spoken about this because even touching on this, it's like it's almost knowing too much and then that placebo effect. And when we think about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, again, a bit of a deep dive there. What you fill your subconscious with is fact. So if you tell yourself every time I do a PB on the hip hinge, I'm gonna fucking sleep like shit. This is gonna
And
be savage.
it's such a strong feeling because how many times, and I had a client, and we've all done this. I had a client check in today. He's dieting for a show. He was 2 pounds up from Wednesday. But I thought, no, not Wednesday. Yeah, it was Wednesday. But I thought I thought pictures looked better on Wednesday. I hadn't even seen the weight yet. So I don't do this. I don't look at the weight. I look at the physique first.
See?
So I don't have this kind of input to take into account. I'm going by what I see. I write it down. I'm seeing a few new lines. I'm seeing him a little bit fuller because we took cardio out for 2 days.
Nice.
And then before pictures, I looked at the weight. Before he even took pictures, I could tell with his feedback he was in a bad mood. And then with pictures, he said, I think we're a bit stressed and inflamed. It's like pictures. I put side by side pictures. No, you look better.
Yeah.
But you've convinced yourself this. And I feel like so many people do this. And I've been victim of it as well, especially when you're in the mindset of prep, where your head's up your ass and you don't know where is north.
Yeah.
Um, you can convince yourself X, Y, and Z just because you know what it leads to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
You
it's
know,
a mind a bit like as well when we're talking about training. I'd like to know your thoughts when you because I had an experience with this that will make you laugh when I first started being a bodybuilder. So when you start prep, and this again can come with training age experience and what training means to you as a remember guys, you're a competitive bodybuilder, right? That's the title you are rocking around with, and that's important to do that with pride. Now, I remember the first few seasons, day one of prep, my training's gonna suffer. I'm starving. And my coach said to me once, Sarah, you have still got body fat. You are not starving. Get after it in your training, right? This is not the time to drop the ball. And I'll always remember that wisdom because, and I see this, it's almost like an excuse to drop the ball. Now, I'm not being detrimental to you guys. I want to help you. If you're listening and you think, that's me, we can absolutely withhold a good level of training for a large portion of prep. Of course, there's depths, there's things that happen, etc., etc. But a general consensus here, they want to prep. You don't need to go into that mode of, well, training is going to suffer here. I'm in a diet. Would you agree? What would you say?
I'd say it's common. People can trick themselves into thinking today's going to be a slog based on the fact of a change in phase, for sure. With, say, going into a diet, that immediate effect of hunger, it's it's both true in that it actually does happen, and it's kind of not. It's a false reading the body's giving off.
It's like,
So you've just spent, yeah, you mentally, you're in a diet, so placebo effect for sure. But you've also spent off season with more food volume.
yeah,
Your stomach's been stretched. All of a sudden, we've had food volume take away. So we've still got this stretched stomach, but it's more empty. And that will signal ghrelin receptors to upregulate. So you're getting this feeling of more appetite from the get go. I get it.
like for the
Uh,
first week, it's like,
yeah, but for it to actually affect your biofeedback, the objective feedback that matters in terms of your strength, in terms of your sleep, is ridiculous. It's something you've definitely told yourself from the get go there.
yeah,
But the hunger first week for sure. But as your body gets used to the food volume being lower, the stomach obviously adapts to its surroundings now, becoming smaller.
yeah.
It's almost just balanced out by that point. That upregulation in ghrelin is just the body trying to find homeostasis.
Yeah, yeah, and it does feel, and I feel like when he framed it like that, it was very brutal, but I was like, actually, that helped me flip my mindset. I was like, I've definitely got body fat. I've just come off season, time to get after it. And I remember that training talk because I feel like, it's unfortunate because and this again from my own training age, I'm very emotionally invested into my training now. Like it's my whole life, Dan. Like it really, really is because I've never ever had this connection to training. Obviously, finding destination as well. I feel like it's such a shame that people go into a prep or a diet and it is almost put on the back burner a little bit. And it's like, oh well, I'm in a prep now. Where's the let's get on? We're
But
holding this.
in terms of like prep has started and now training is less of a thought in that it's, oh, I'm losing strength from the get-go, but it's okay, it's prep. That
Yeah.
one's,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's definitely not. This is the John Meadows episode. I'm
Is
sorry, this is the John Meadows episode. So he was coaching Fuad, right, at the
yeah.
time. And Fuad was just about to start prep. John was making some changes from the get-go, but Fuad was suggesting all of these other things to get going fast start out of the gate. And John Meadows said, no, you live your life exactly as you have done in off season. The only thing I'm doing is reducing you down by a cup of rice.
Love this. Yeah.
So, but everything else, how you go about your life, how you train, your mindset going in train, nothing changes. That is the constant. The only thing that changes is the variable in terms of that energy balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. And sometimes you've got to view it like that because let's face it, what we're talking about here is potentially an emotional connection, what you're telling yourself, what prep looks like. We all know, guys, that when you do drop the hammer, there is of course a shift and maybe a date in mind for the show, etc. And that can add pressure, etc. But I love that what you said, Dan, there because it's flexing through the phases. You're a bodybuilder. So you
it
obviously
should be a smooth transition from off season to prep. Nothing is changing. Like nothing is changing. Like your training is exactly the same.
yeah,
You might from the get go, you might introduce some output.
yeah,
And please, like, and this goes to the fatigue management extreme crew. I do believe in fatigue management, but it's only via making smart decisions in the first place. Um, the fatigue management crew, the mindset of somebody who has easily succumbed to that corner could be thinking along the lines of, right, coach has added, this is prep week one, coach has added 20 minutes of fasted cardio in. And they might then perceive or associate, drop in energy levels, drop in strength, because prep has died, cardio's in. How soft do you need to be? Like, think of like human beings back in the caveman ages. Would they have lost strength? No, because they have zero idea about fatigue management or anything like that. That's why I say sometimes it is better to be the Forrest Gump,
yeah.
not have a clue and just do. Totally don't even realize what, cool, 20 minutes of cardio, wicked. I'm going to go smash some PBs.
It's a lot of the mindset as well, it's and I feel like this, and we're going in different trends in the bodybuilding space, right? We're 2026 now. There's so much put out on social media, there's so many influencers, there's so many people grabbing the attention of the bodybuilding community to say X, Y, Z. But even the history in this episode of like, those positive role models, those people that have done the do, the people that have worked with the athletes, the people that have done it themselves, the history behind it. And I love that you said, obviously about like the Forrest Gump, etc. I've often referenced this when you see like the Arnie documentaries or these types of things. Ronnie Coleman, they weren't going, I need to manage my fatigue here, guys. Now we've spoken about understanding that, but they're in the gym having fun, pumping the muscle, like it's that vibe, that old school vibe that I fucking love.
Yeah, and like I think I think the educators putting information out there, all the stuff I spoke about, like ghrelin, stretching the stomach, increase hunger levels. I know that, but the difference is week one when prep hits and fucking hell, hunger's hit. I know why, but I don't see it as a problem. And I
This is
think,
the difference.
and this is what I mean, when if you are educating, teaching a topic, also know how to teach them how to apply it. You know, it would be like giving somebody a hammer. This, you can impact this against objects. It's now up to that person to build something with it, or you know, demolish something with it. It can be used for either way. So applicability is quite important with all this new age kind of information, and just be smart enough to know that the more you learn can be a good thing, but for some personalities, it can hold them back from their goals. I don't say limit knowledge, but if you are somebody who will give in to every fad for your own progress, you might be better off just shutting the laptop and not reading, just doing. And
Yeah.
I hate to be that way because
Yeah.
you know I love to learn, um, but I also know I'm the type of personality that is not just going to, because I read Retta reduces blood glucose, I'm not going to go and just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to wait and watch and see what everyone else does first, see if they drop like flies. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. This comes from as well immersing in potentially finding the right people and maybe select. So like you, John Meadows, Dr. Scott, like you have an X amount of people that you watch, you observe, and you can use this as an exploration, guys, you know.
John Meadows, I just think he is the perfect role model for somebody growing up into bodybuilding because he will ground you so much. It's a calming voice, but he'll ground you and he'll show you ways, but he'll teach you where it needs to be applied, you
Yeah.
know? And, bless him, he's been dead now for, I think, I want to say 4 years,
Yeah, 3, 4.
maybe.
Yeah.
But his YouTube is still updating now. It's being posted on. It's crazy. The legacy continues, but I just think he's given us so many tools within bodybuilding to prolong our training age. But if you're 20 years old, you probably don't need the Zimmer frame. So
Yeah.
know when it's time.
Well, you said when we stayed actually as well with, sometimes there could be use case scenarios where actually, and I really loved how you framed it. It's like some people could just be good bodybuilders for 2, 3 years before even contemplating an off season or a prep, like actually just live as a bodybuilder. Now imagine, guys, the experience you could gain from this, being able to, learn at the same time and just live the lifestyle, then imagine you flex into a prep or you flex into an off season. It's just your life then, isn't it?
I didn't prep for 7 years.
Didn't you? Wow.
I 7 years. I didn't even think about competing. It was only the year I competed, which was the year of my master's degree. I was told I'm competing.
Oh,
You
I
know,
love
it, I always thought, well, maybe I want to compete, but you never think you're good enough, maybe, to really get on stage. The coach I was working with, Jordan Peters, at the time, he said, like, you're prepping this year. I was like, oh,
that.
okay. I don't really know. And this is the Forrest Gump of it. I didn't know what that meant. I knew it meant I'm getting on stage, but it doesn't mean am I meant to feel a certain way? Am I meant to be moody? Am I meant to lose sleep? I did lose sleep. I didn't know why, but I didn't care because I didn't know why.
That's the thing as well, though.
I was the prep with the bloodshot eyes.
Yeah, and that's the excitability that I believe again is something we're trying to sort of, muster up in this episode as well of the excitability to be a bodybuilder, guys. Like, listening to this and listening to us chat, we've been through a lot of the mistakes we could frame it or what we've learned from. But the root of it all, we're bodybuilding geeks, Dan. Like when we're sitting there, we're just like, right, okay, like you're questioning me about my training and I'm like, okay, so I do this training and it's like, oh, I recommend that. That type of stuff again, when I draw it back to the start, I know I voice noted you this. I could have only dreamt of having a friend like yourself to talk like this with. And there might be people listening that are just getting into it, first timers. Perhaps their coaches and as interactive as maybe we are as coaches and things like that. I guess a good question to you as well would be how do we find the John Meadows? How do we maybe look at the right role models? Because I think it's probably quite hard.
That's a really good question.
It's just come to my mind because where I said to you, it's like,
Do you know there's not many people around that could do what John did,
yeah,
and I think it's because he was the first, and that's why I mentioned his YouTube is still active now, so he's still having his influence. It's a gold mine, absolute gold mine on there. Um, but in terms of people, there are other people for sure. I think Dr. Scott, somebody I grew up watching, he he won't remember this, but I met him at a Body Power in 2017 or 20, some one of these years. And the one Nathan Diasha did it, and I sat next to him, and it was like he wouldn't have known at the time because I was very good at fucking hiding it. But it was the biggest like fanboy experience,
yeah,
and he was just but you know how he comes across, like you know him better than me. The way he comes across, And but in person, he's such a normal guy. Like the the first thing he said to me was, "I really like your iPhone case." It was like a leather iPhone case, but he was just creating conversation.
Yeah, yeah. This is what I love about Scott because, you know, genuinely one of the most humble people you'll ever speak to. Because, when we talk about stuff, he's like, make sure that people don't get worried. If I frame it as Dr. Scott, they're going to think, oh, all of these things. He's very cautious with topics he talks about. He's so passionate and he always just genuinely wants to help. Like you can imagine the conversations we have. I've had calls with him where he's called me out on my bullshit with, certain personal life things and whatever. And I'm like, Scott, you're asking me questions. I just need a moment here to breathe because I can't answer you in any other way than honest. I'm like, Bestie, just give me a moment. And then we're talking. He's like, Sarah, this isn't, you're coming away from who you are. Let's talk about. And he's just so, I can't, he's like a fucking magical guardian angel. I'm like, oh,
He's cool.
Scott.
He's very cool. Like if you wanna get into nitty gritty, he's fantastic. There, I'm thinking back to all my influences, and do you know, there's been so many. It's because everyone has a different way of skinning the cat,
Yeah.
from a training perspective, and that's what we're talking about training. Um, you know, and I don't think it's fair to base yourself off one person. If you're able to create an amalgamation of different people, combine ideas and find what works for you.
Yeah, yeah,
And don't be sold on a way of training just because X and Y said it and you worship them. You've got to trial it on your body. And if it's not working, it's not working.
yeah.
That's where you need to look into a different style. So a very extreme end scale could be Jordan Peters, very much indoctrined UK, and the effect he's had has been crazy, versus, say, in America, a Justin Compton style training,
Yeah, yeah,
high volume versus low volume. But they're both extremes of the scale, aren't they? I wouldn't say Jordan now is extreme of the scale, low volume. I think he's actually merged more a little bit in on his
but
own
people
training.
see him, they see him as like this because he's built this almost. He's like a god, isn't he?
He's with Jordan, I don't think he's really cared. He's
Yeah,
shared what he's
standalone.
done. He's just done what he wants to do, and he publishes it, and people follow. But I don't believe the way Jordan trains suits everyone, because I don't think everyone could do it the way Jordan can do it.
You're not JP.
You're not JP. The guy is a freak. He's a freak with his recovery. He's a freak in the gym. Freak with his mindset. He's literally programmed a computer to be able to recover to the exact work he's able to do in the gym. And not everyone's lifestyles are cut out for that,
Yeah,
you know? So there's a very rare breed of person, like JP.
yeah, yeah.
Um, then I guess I'm trying to give some good advice, but it's like breeze across lots of different trainings, different pros you like, different coaches, the way they've gone about processes. And I guess you need to do the years and just find out what way fits your body. And it might be an amalgamation, it might be one person's training.
Yeah, yeah. It might even be you could do in person with your coach as well. That was incredibly valuable for me. It meant
Yeah.
traveling for hours and stuff like that. But when he did, like he'd do, it was Team Box, it was called at the time because his surname was Box. He'd do a meetup and I'd be like, I'm booking annual leave. I'm getting there. It doesn't matter if it takes me 8 hours to get there. And I started to learn from him, and it was like, oh, I haven't been doing that movement as I could have been, and that type of stuff. So maybe putting yourself out there a bit as well, going to expos, meeting people.
I guess this is what underpins it. Whatever your style of training is, and whatever you're taking inspiration from, low volume, high volume, giant sets, dog crap training, fortitude, whatever your volume style, however your program is laid out, none of it matters if you're not able to hit the nail in the wall with a clean shot.
Yeah, yeah. And then
So
hit
I think what you're saying there is learn how to move.
literally. It sounds stupid, doesn't it? Because I was like, I'm training hard. Then I was training hard.
is you start training hard when you're really actually hitting the muscle you're intended to. Otherwise, it can just be all noise and not a lot of bite.
Yeah. And send training footage to your coaches, guys, please.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Um, I'm trying to just think what else on top of that. When we're relating this to training age, it's something that develops as you go. What you'll find is something you should be focused on the start of your training age. It's simply form.
Yeah.
Form, progress your form, progress your weights. Do both.
Yeah.
I think you should never stop trying to progress your weights, but there's going to come a point where it's a finite where you need to find other ways, adapt your training to get more stimulus, not just move more weight. But form wise, from the start, that is, something you are learning. You're learning mind muscle connection. You're learning tempos, how to move with slow eccentrics, how to change direction smoothly, that kind of thing. Then, as you develop in your training years, the form aspect changes into learning how to movement. And I say this is different because there is a level above simply just form in regards to cues that can really change a movement. That comes a little bit later.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember Dave, Dave underrated for training. Crosland,
Dave Crossland, yeah.
absolute knowledge bomb that guy is for training. Um, he he taught me so with bicep training, for example, a form kind of a thing you might do for your form from an early age is learn to slow down the eccentric, fully extend and lengthen, pull up, and squeeze in the peak contraction.
Yeah.
I think that is actually a good way to start somebody out to actually understand what that muscle should feel like in a peak contraction is hold, squeeze.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty simple.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Later on, this was something he taught me was exactly the same, control eccentrics, with the leverage being on the end of your palm, extend that all the way in terms of try and take the longest path possible in that eccentric, longest arc. So you're extending the lever. When you're pulling up, don't don't stop to squeeze. Keep moving it all the way through the shoulder. There's a point within an amount of muscle that you carry in which simply squeezing actually reduces the range of motion of the traveling or the contracting muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
he taught me don't stop and squeeze, keep going until you come physically. You can't get that any further more.
Yeah.
The feeling it was completely different, and my arms grew a
Yeah.
lot, a lot. But I had to get to that point in the first place.
This is the
Doing
thing.
what I was doing before, so I would have never have started of doing that because I
Yeah.
haven't got a bicep in the first place to cut range of motion down. Do you know?
It's stuff like that though, experimenting that makes me think of when I use like different gyms and stuff, and you're like, I don't know where any of the kit is, I don't know what I'm doing, I feel like I'm not even a bodybuilder because everything's everywhere. And I'll sometimes go on to a bit of kit that I'm like, the bicep is a good example, and I'll be like, is that range of movement, is that setup? If I'm going to use a machine, I don't ordinarily use loads of machines, I use cables and dumbbells, but if I was going to do like a preacher curl setup or whatever. Oh, how does that feel? And I have a play around and have a bit of fun in these sessions. And there was one bicep machine that I used that I've never used at the gym that you recommended. So it had a pad. For people that are listening, you have to go on YouTube.
Oh,
It,
did it? Please tell me. Did it have chains?
I think it might. It looked very
Oh,
straightforward.
you use a Nautilus. Oh, the old school. If anyone knows Dorian, the high bicep curl, the Nautilus, I told you that place. Mitch's gym, Bodyworks Peterborough, full of relics. That's quality.
I was like, wow. Matt came up and he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I saw this kit," and I was like, I was drawn to it. It was like I was being, and I was
It
like,
smelled of Dorian.
the bicep pump.
Yeah.
I was gassed. I was
With
like,
with machines like that, they're old, but they're so intelligently made. That was made by Arthur Jones.
who's that?
Arthur Jones, again, somebody who changed bodybuilding at the time. Um, Originally, the pieces of kit were made, I believe, for school gymnasiums.
Okay.
but then they translated into bodybuilding. And Arthur Jones just had a fascination with bodybuilding, was never a bodybuilder himself. His son ended up, I can't remember his first name, but obviously Jones, his son ended up bringing out hammer strength.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But the Arthur Jones was, he was basically just a very rich guy who had an interest in bodybuilding. And there are a lot of correlations between Arthur Jones, Dorian Yates, and Mike Mensa, which brought a lot of the HIIT training to the surface. Where at the time, Arnold times, everyone was spending 3 hours at the gym, volume after volume, and they questioned this. It was originally Arthur Jones and Mike Mensa with the one set only balls to the wall training. I like dog crap training in a way to an extent, I guess. And Dorian obviously incorporated a lot of those methods into his Olympia wins, which made that popular.
Mm.
But this is what I mean. Training, hey,
So,
is so different. It can be so different and finding your way with it. But
yeah.
I don't necessarily think the knowledge learned from Arnold's era volume, I don't think it's wasted. It's not like, right, that's nothing. What we have now with how Dorian trains, that rules all. I
No,
think
I
I
agree.
think you've got to account for all training and understand where it might fit for you, especially in a time of your life with age experience. If you are older, like your Romana, who's 40 and obviously heavily muscled, her risk of injury is very high. So I would not recommend her doing HIIT Mike Mensa style training, one all out set.
Yeah.
She's going to need a little bit more volume because I don't want her trying to risk it all in line for one set. Because arguably, Dorian's career could have gone a lot longer if he did ease off.
That's the thing. It's almost well, as you said, taking parts of things and trying it. Like, get excited for this, guys. Look at these people we're talking about and think, oh, how would that work with my own mythologies around training? What's my own past from training? If I'm just getting into it, be a student of bodybuilding, guys. Like, be a pupil.
I'm gonna learn one thing here because I was talking about the bicep curl. So for anyone watching this, what I want you to try is get on a. It can be, I think, like a machine single arm preacher curl or a single arm dumbbell curl on a preacher, something like that. Now, I want you to grip only with these two fingers. Doesn't mean you can't have these fingers wrapped around, but your main grippers are these two here. So in doing that, you're switching off the forearm flexors. The forearm flexors majority are going to be turned on via that.
Okay.
Okay. So your main grip is here. You're going to get in the machine. You're going to obviously, as you would, I can't supinate without weight. I need weight to force supination. You're obviously going to extend down into the full length, and you're in the full length. And here, you are going to pull up elbow and the crease under your lat in to the pad. You're going to pull up your arm, and yeah, you are going to contract, but understand that you are moving load. So the bicep is moving load from lengthened to shortened. Your bicep will be contracting to move load because you've locked yourself into a plane of motion.
Yeah.
So as you pull, I want you to pull in and pull in further. And if you think you can go an extra inch, go in even further than that. Hit up 10 to 12 reps of that near failure or to failure and tell me you don't feel something different.
This could be a little thing here. We're gonna have to start a little
I could
guide.
start putting in some cues. I could
We're gonna
start putting in
start
some cues
every
because
single.
the misconception, and again, it's a training age thing. And if you are beginning out, I do want to promote you actively squeezing to actually understand where the bicep is at contraction and whatnot. But when you have bicep, trust me, you're locked in plane, you're under tension, bicep is contracting. So when you're up here, simply contracting in this point here, I can't move anymore. So if I weren't to actively do that and I could move it even more, I'm under load. So the bicep is working all the way through.
I'm gonna fucking try this.
Right.
I love a biceps. Was it Arnie that said a bicep pump is better than an orgasm? And I was like, I don't know if you've had a very good orgasm, mate, because I don't know if I agree.
Yeah, it's something like that, wasn't it? And from pumping iron, yeah.
The pump, the pump. Now, obviously, deep dive on training, Dan, and before we finish up, At the moment, coaching wise, are you taking on clients or what's your situation at the moment? Because
Yeah,
of course,
I,
people.
I've been very fortunate enough never to have to advertise. If you've ever scrolled down my Instagram, I've never advertised once. I just wait for them to come to me, and if personalities, if we align and we can work well together, then cool. But I'm not somebody who works with 50, 60 plus.
Yeah,
I can't give what I give to that amount of people. And that's why I want to do more podcasts so I can give out more information to more people that I can't help directly. Because it's like when you have clients, it's a big thing for me to have people working under me with me.
absolutely.
It's a massive investment, huge. Like when you have these people, especially my kind of demographic, I do work with some lifestyle, but they literally act like bodybuilders. Um, with a lot of my competitors that want to go on and do huge things or want to go there, you have to be in it for the long run with these people, and you end up getting very close with them.
For sure.
It's a massive amount of investment. The amount you are learning about these people,
Mm.
if you named a client, I could tell you who their wife or their husband is and what the names of their kids were.
Yeah, yeah.
Where they'll be at 3 p.m.
I love that. I'm the same. Like it's almost, yeah, it's like I'm a bit obsessed with my job, but I like it that way.
Well, on everyone's sheets, I have all their information down, what their working hours are, everything like that, is because I I never want to sound silly and have to ask questions that I feel like I should know.
I fucking love that. Love that.
And it might sound a little bit OTT, but the more times I click on that sheet, I'm learning about you, and it's more.
Personable, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I fucking love that. What a vibe. So if someone listens and they're like, oh, I'd like to maybe inquire for coaching or whatever, is it best to just DM you on Instagram?
Me or go on my applications, Google applications.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, also, actually, shout out to two more people. So one being obviously Matt. He's in Stoke-on-Trent. What a fucking G. He'll be watching this on YouTube because he's just subscribed, and obviously he's a client of yours. What
Holcroft.
a guy! What a guy!
Holcroft.
Yeah.
Yeah, he checked in today. Yeah.
I can't cope with the elite levelness of Genus. He's just a
He's
fucking
a
vibe.
guy. He's a guy you want to get on the podcast. He's got a story.
I've asked him because once he sets up that podcast studio, we're going to do it there.
Yeah, that'll be
Mad, mad.
that'll be mega. And I'm going to be doing trips up to Stoke, as he's going to be doing trips coming to me anyway in prep. He starts prep soon. So when I come up there, combine podcast in the studio.
Yes, he needs
Yeah,
to get the studio. Matt, if you're watching this, get that studio ready.
he is watching this, puffing on a vape right now.
Yes. So the other guy, new listener, so he messaged me off the back of the Stim stories. So just started listening to the podcast, genuinely loving it so far. Listen to the Stim stories, the episode just Dan Bastick, and now on the trend stories. And it's funny because he mentioned you, and we'd obviously already spoken about doing a podcast, and I was just like, out of all of them, there's over 300 episodes now, Dan. He listened to the Stim stories and then listen to the one with you. So I wonder if this would be a question to him, if maybe he heard you on the Stim stories and wanted to hear more, and obviously then listening.
Maybe. What's his name?
So he is called. But this is funny. He doesn't have his. There's an Instagram handle. We were messaging. You can't see it because of the blur. We were messaging because he sent me that message. He used to be coached by AJ Morris, who
Mm.
funnily enough is on the pod in this part of the series, and now he's with Tim Taylor. But he's called Matt, another Matt. And I when I voice noted him, I was like, "Your his bio says I like carbs, age 20," and that's it.
A
It's his Instagram handle is MEGER.
Meger. Oh, I spoke to him the other day. He
Oh, okay.
messaged me. He messaged me because I put on a story that I was wearing my engineered. So these engineered zippers, right?
Yep.
You saw them. They're fucking nice.
They are fucking plush.
I told myself I cannot wear this for training. I cannot wear this for training. But you know how cold it's been getting? So I wore it for training. I'm like, I'm wearing this in the gym. I'm fashion, and there's nobody here to see it because I'm in my own gym. And he commented on him, and his mum messaged him, "You better not be wearing that." What did she say? She said, "You better not be wearing that in the gym, you twat," or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, he seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah, 20 as well. So what I love about this, again, I'm sure he listened to this episode, is for someone that he does sit, it's minimal interaction we both had with him, but he seems to really love the bodybuilding. So of course, welcome my new follower, Matt, and thank you for your support so far. But he's going to listen back to however many episodes, which is super cool. So yes, shout out to the new subscriber, and thank you, Dan, for your time. Now our list, just to tease the people in before we finish up, we're also going to talk about on a future episode, which I'll put on the stories and stuff, about gear use and how we've both changed our approach over the years and what we've learned, etc. So that'll be something to talk about. Switching it on for prep, so prep readiness and adherence. Off season, incorporating socializing and pushing up in general. So we've only done one of our topics out of the four, Dan. So people will get the little teaser there, and of
Yeah.
course we will go into it.
What I want to do is I want to do these all separately and see how they're received. If
Yeah.
they go really well, we'll do it regularly. We'll keep going and do these. We'll create a playlist.
Yeah, 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 cool.
And there's a reminder wearing the three-quarter zipper.
Sexual.
Mm,
Are you recording?
yes.
We are, but I can edit out.
Oh, I was just gonna say Rogue's been sick. Another
Oh,
two bugs.
well, we've just finished, so absolutely tired.
So that's a count of 9 earplugs vomited up in the space of 3 days.
Yeah.
I don't know what to. Oh, but she's so cute.
I know. It's just, I know. Don't let it fool you.
Yeah,
Little shit.
yeah.
I love it. I love it.
It's because I mean you're quite welcome to leave this in.
We might as well.
Somebody, when they're done with their sleeping, will put their earplugs on the top of the bed, or they'll fall out of his ears in the night and then they'll fall underneath the bed. So at Dan's end of the bed, there's just a plethora of used earplugs
Oh,
under the bed that Rogue just decides to snack on.
Why do I need earplugs from Anna?
The same I need earplugs.
wait, because you want her to get to 100 kilos, Dan.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Love it, love it, love it.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Well, guys, have a fabulous evening because you can now immerse in the evenings of the evenings.
Well, I'm now going to go into a stock check on how many earplugs are missing from underneath the bed and shut the bedroom door that somebody left open.
Mm.
Nice to see ya.
Because she loves you. Well, of course, guys, thank you for listening. I'll keep that in. Fuck it. Why not? And until the next time, Dan, thank you, Mr. Bombastic.
Come here, man. Come here. Come and say goodbye to everyone. Come on, Rogue.
Hello, Rogue.
Bye.
Goodbye, my people and my dog.
Right.
Hello.